What does this plan look like?
Well, you know, both governors rejected mandatory plans in their states that were favored by Democrats last year, and they oppose a new tax to support a paid family leave program. So they're hoping their voluntary plan gains traction.
We can establish a model and standard for the rest of the country.
Governor Scott and Governor Sununu appeared together at a New Hampshire brewery to pitch their version of a program Democrats want. The Twin State Voluntary Leave Plan would be created for state employees in both states and allow the private sector in.
The plan will be voluntary and not serve as an income tax. It will provide choice and flexibility to businesses and employees.
Governor Scott vetoed the Democrats' plan last year because it called for a payroll tax. Governor Sununu rejected a similar one in New Hampshire. Both oppose new taxes on their residents. They say their plan won't require a tax or millions in startup costs like the plans Democrats want.
Our small size can be a challenge, especially when it comes to the affordability of programs designed to add value to our already high quality of life. And with that in mind, my team and I jump at the opportunity to work with our friends in New Hampshire.
The two governors propose a benefit of up to 6 weeks per year, paying 60% of wages. Paid time off would be offered for the birth or adoption of a child, caring for a sick relative, dealing with a serious health problem, and other things allowed under the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act. The question now is whether the state employees unions in Vermont and New Hampshire sign on, and whether Democrats will be willing to work with the governors. Vermont State Employees Association Executive Director Steve Howard says the benefits in the governor's plan may not be strong enough.
Officially, the VSEA supports the plan that he vetoed.
New Hampshire Democrats reacted swiftly and negatively to the proposal, but the Democratic House Speaker Mitzi Johnson in Vermont was willing to credit Scott for putting a proposal on the table.
I think that's a really important step forward to recognizing that family-friendly policies are an excellent way to build Vermont's workforce and make this an attractive state to raise a family in.
The proposal outlined by the Republican governors today is pretty different from what Democrats are pushing. Here in Vermont, Democrats have supermajorities in the House and Senate, so they could try to work with the governor on a compromise, or they could try to muscle through their own plan. We'll see what happens. Reporting live in Montpelier, Neil Goswami, Channel 3 News.
A 1-2 punch for Vermont's dairy farms during the government shutdown. Dairy farms aren't getting their checks that were supposed to help offset the impact of the tariffs that went into effect last year. And with the shutdown, they can't apply for federal loans either because offices have been closed. On Capitol Hill, Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy said he's hearing from farmers struggling to pay their bills and trying to navigate the new farm bill that was passed a few weeks back.
Farmers need information now, as the new planting and growing season looms, how the law is going to affect their operations heading into the planting year. But most of the staff would handle this work have been furloughed.
3 Vermont Farm Service Agency centers are reopening during the shutdown in St. Albans, Middlebury, and Newport. They'll be open tomorrow, Friday, and Tuesday only. There, farmers can apply for federal loans or finish up loan paperwork that was in progress before the shutdown began.
Federal workers in South Burlington are getting help with their water bill. The city says it'll sit down one-on-one with people who have not been paid since the government shut down almost a month ago. This help could be waiving late fees, not issuing shut-off notices, or working out payment plans. The city says it's not sure how many people in South Burlington are federal workers, but says it's happy that someone came forward to ask for help.
We've had a resident who called in and said, is there anything you can do? They called the Champlain Water District and asked for help, and they reached out to us, and our Director of Public Works came forward and spoke with us this morning, and City Manager Kevin Dorn said, absolutely, let's do everything we can to help.
Make sure you bring your furlough letter when you make your request to prove you need the help. We'll have more information on our website, WCAX.com, and on our free mobile app. Well, you can feel it in the air. It is starting to get cold.
And Mother Nature is just getting started, right, Sharon?
Oh, yes. Mother Nature is just getting started. We have seen some snowflakes flying, along with some snow showers coming in with a cold front that's crossing the region. Here's the way things are right now. Beginning to die down a little bit, but we still have some moderate snow in parts of Addison County slipping on between Randolph and Rutland. We'll see a few more snowflakes this evening as well. Now, that's all indicating some much colder air that's going to be moving into the region. Temperatures will be falling off into the single digits in the north and then down in the south before too much longer. And by tomorrow morning, we are looking at actual air temperatures that are likely to be below zero across a good portion of the region or near zero in some of the so-called milder spots. Now, this is only part of the issue. Of course, we're also talking about wind chills. Wind chills when you start off tomorrow morning likely to be in the minus teens or even the minus 20s. So make sure you bundle up as you head out. Make sure the animals are inside tonight and the farm animals are protected from the wind. We are looking for wind chills to be as much as 25 degrees below zero in the areas shaded in blue and in the minus teens across most of the rest of the region. Now, we also have two storms to talk about, one smaller, one significantly bigger. I'll be back with all the details.
Sharon, thank you. They survived war only to get sick when they got home, and they blame open-air burn pits in war zones for their illnesses. Now, a Supreme Court ruling halts lawsuits against a military contractor accused of wrongdoing by military families. The lawsuits claim these burn pits in Afghanistan and Iraq led to health problems for thousands of military members who breathed in smoke that hung over the bases. In those pits, everything was burned. Tires, medical waste, human waste, metals, trash. There were no landfills, no infrastructure to deal with waste in the middle of makeshift cities in war zones. It's gone on for years, and now some are calling the burn pits the new Agent Orange.
It was devastating news.
A Channel 3 News investigation revealed that many Vermonters also got sick.
You shouldn't have died, Darren. You shouldn't have died.
They too blame the burn pits. Of the 19 people in the Vermont Military Police Unit, 3 got prostate cancer. 2 died. Several have early signs of cancer. Others have unknown illnesses and growths doctors haven't seen before.
Those burn pits were going 24/7. They just never stopped.
In addition, Vermont's former Assistant Adjutant General died of a rare pancreatic cancer. He deployed 3 times to Afghanistan and worked just 300 yards away from a burn pit, breathing in smoke from those fires every day. Before he died, he told me the burn pits were to blame.
Are you convinced that the burn pits led to your cancer?
Yes.
Hundreds of military families in the U.S. filed suit against a military contractor, KBR, formerly owned by Halliburton, which ran the burn pits. But the Supreme Court just ruled in favor of KBR. The nation's highest court rejected appeals from military veterans, leaving in place a federal appeals court ruling that more than 60 lawsuits over the burn pits could not go forward. The appeals court said KBR was essentially under military control and had little discretion in deciding how to manage the waste. KBR's attorneys said the decision to use burn pits was, quote, made by the military. Current service members cannot sue the military for injury or illness. Vermont Congressman Peter Welch is pushing to get exposure to burn pits to qualify as a disability. Right now, Welch's office says it's unaware of other lawsuits. The Department of Veterans Affairs set up a registry to document veterans' possible exposure to burn pits, but says more studies are needed to see if there are long-term health problems associated with them.
We're learning more tonight about a police standoff in South Burlington with an armed man having a mental health crisis. South Burlington police says that everyone was safe at the DoubleTree Hotel this morning, but a, quote, strong public safety presence was needed. Dozens of police officers were at the hotel. Police and negotiators were brought in, and the man peacefully surrendered.
To have outcomes like this, the police, you need human resources, you need resources in the various pieces of equipment that I'm sure you've seen deployed here, and that this counts as one incident count, right? So a stick count of 1. You've seen the number of cops here. That's the number of cops that police departments need in order to render these situations safe.
No one has been arrested.
4 Vermonters are arrested for burglary at a St. Albans motel at around 3:30 a.m. on January 14th. Police found signs of a break-in at the Cadillac Motel. Through their investigation, they say they identified Ralph Shagnon, Sean Bushy, Dylan Chappell, and Abigail Perry as the suspects. All 4 were arrested. Shagnon and Perry are charged with felony burglary, and Bushy and Chappell are charged with aiding in the commission of a felony.
A South Woodstock man wants to turn the closed prison in Windsor into a processing facility for hemp. The prison closed more than a year ago and has sat idle ever since. State and local officials, as you can see, touring the facility today to hear the business pitch. Essentially, the 100-acre property, which includes several buildings, would be used to grow hemp and manufacture CBD, a compound of cannabis made from hemp that's used for medicinal purposes.
You can think dairy. You know, you have a dairy farmer that produces milk. The milk gets picked up and it goes to the plant and they bottle it or they make cheese out of it. So I think it's the same way. You have a farmer that can grow hemp in the field, cut it down, bring it here, and that they can turn it over, the rest of that job over to us.
The state currently pays around $200,000 a year just to keep the heat on so the buildings don't fall apart. State officials say they would love to lease the facility. However, they're exploring other options, and they say they're at the very beginning of that process. Well, we're following up on Governor Chris Cuomo's State of the State address yesterday.
One of his top priorities during the first 100 days of this term as governor is clean water.
Right now, there's 1 billion people in the world that don't have enough food or clean water.
We'll tell you about some water infrastructure improvements that could be on the way to the North Country.
South Burlington is making a change to keep utility rates low.
It's just another example of our city council allowing us to spend money to save money.
We'll tell you where the money they save is going.
As the U.S. withdraws from Syria, a suicide bomber kills 4 American troops.
You think what you want to about those people over there. They've had enough of killing.
We'll take you there.
And the field of Democratic presidential hopefuls is growing. We'll hear from a couple of the contenders.
Old Man Winter is waking up and seems to be kind of cranky. I'll be back with the latest on the bitter cold and the snowstorms heading our way.
Here's your Buick, sir. Actually, that's my Buick.
Your Buick doesn't have a roof rack. This is my Buick. How are we going to fit in your mom's Buick?
Easy.
I like that new Buick.
Me too.
I was actually talking about that Buick.
I knew that.
Did you?
Buick's fresh new lineup is full of surprises. Pay no interest for 72 months on most Buick models. Or current eligible lessees get this low mileage lease on this Encore for around $159 per month.
Come tie the knot on the spirit of Ethan Allen.
You've seen our ads where we've discounted new Subarus, sometimes taking $2,000, $3,000, or even $4,000 off, but never $7,500 off a new Subaru Outback. Until now. Let me say this again. St. J. Subaru is taking $7,500 off new Outbacks. If you've even considered a new Subaru, you can't afford to miss this. More Subarus in stock than anywhere in Vermont, and $7,500 off Outbacks? Come to St. J. Subaru, because nobody beats a St. J. Subaru deal.
Want more for less? Spectrum Mobile delivers. Grab your wireless bill to compare and see how you can save up to 40% a month with our unlimited data plan for $45 a line on your first line and every line. Or pay just for what you use with our Buy the Gig plan for $14 a gig. All with free nationwide talk and text. Call 833-567-7283. The best network, the best devices, the best value. Get Spectrum Mobile today. Call 833-567-7283.
Over 100 years ago, we were talking about the Model T. Now here we are,
talking about winning the most J.D. Power IQS and Appeal Awards, talking about driver assist technology, talking about the highest customer loyalty in the country. But that's enough talking. Seriously, that was a lot of talking. Back to building.
Now lease F-150 for as low as $159 a month, or buy with up to $11,200 total savings, including auto show bonus cash on select F-150s.
Tonight, we dig deeper into Governor Andrew Cuomo's State of the State and Budget Address.
Well, he pledged to accomplish a lot during the first 100 days of his third term. Our Kelly O'Brien is looking into one of his priorities. She joins us live from the Plattsburgh Bureau. Kelly.
Darren, Celine, everybody needs clean water, but not everybody has it. Now, Governor Cuomo calling on this state to invest billions of dollars so all New Yorkers can enjoy drinkable tap water for years to come.
It is our generational obligation to make sure we leave this place better than we found it. We need to invest in clean, safe drinking water.
$2.5 billion. That's how much Governor Andrew Cuomo says he'll invest into clean drinking water for the state.
I think for many years, places have been neglected because they didn't want to put any money in it.
Bill Todd has been making sure the water in the city of Plattsburgh is clean for the last 50 years.
Our water is very good coming in, and the cost levels are low compared to many other places.
He takes pride in his work because, you know.
Oh, you can't live without water, and you need water, safe water to drink.
Here at the city's water filtration plant, crews work day and night to filter out things in the water, like dirt or any bad chemicals. He says $2.5 billion could go to many different infrastructure needs across the state. It's unclear right now how much the North Country will get.
It can be the piping coming to the water plant, the piping leaving the water plant, the water plant itself, the valves, the buildings.
These are massive tanks that hold thousands of gallons of water or water mains underground. And Todd says slacking on these needed updates could harm the water.
Quality of the pipes do affect the water quality.
And this isn't the first time we've talked about the importance of water here in the North Country. You might remember last year when Congresswoman Elise Stefanik helped the town of Plattsburgh get a $500,000 grant to help with their water infrastructure needs. And that project is still ongoing. Reporting live in Plattsburgh, Kelly O'Brien, Channel 3 News.
Well, South Burlington Public Works says it's already seeing a revenue boost for the city as it works to replace water meters for its 6,000 customers. Neliana Ferraro has been following the story. She joins us in the newsroom with more. Neliana, why exactly are they replacing the meters?
Celine, they give a more accurate reading, able to register 4% more of the water running through your pipes. Over the last 4 years, the Champlain Water District employees have been going house to house, installing these new meters. That small 4% savings that I talked about means an additional $100,000 in funding each year. So for the city, all this extra work is worth it.
We can keep our rate increases nice and low. We have very low utility rates in South Burlington, here in Chittenden County. So we're very happy. It's just another example of our city council allowing us to spend money to save money.
The extra money will be used to pay for capital projects. Public Works is hoping to finish up the meter replacements in a few years. In the newsroom, Neliana Ferraro, Channel 3 News.
Now your Max Advantage weather forecast.
Well, remember back in December when we were all starting to think that this was going to be kind of a nothing winter? Well, January has showed us differently. We are looking for another Arctic blast moving into the area. You can feel the temperatures dropping already as that cold front marches across the region. High pressure is going to be settling in overhead, leaving us with a very cold day for tomorrow. So be prepared, dress very warmly, especially during the early morning hours, and even during the afternoon it's going to be quite cold. Now, we do have a little storm system that's going to be moving through Thursday night into Friday. This one's only going to be bringing us about 1 to 3 inches of snow, but there is another one that's going to be moving in behind that. So here's the way it looks. A little closer look at what's going to be going on. Skies clear out overnight tonight. That's going to help with the radiational cooling, really allowing those temperatures to drop. And tomorrow we're expecting a fair bit of sunshine, but it's one of those days where it looks nice when you look out the window, but when you head outside the door, you're going to want to make sure you're dressed very, very warmly. Then we see the snow overspreading from the southwest to the northeast through the overnight hours on Thursday. This snow is going to be continuing off and on through the day, tapering off a little bit during the afternoon with a few more scattered snow showers after that. And of course, with the snow showers that we're seeing tonight, we can see quite a contrast in temperatures. This is what's going on right now around the region. And down in New York City, we still have 40 degrees. We also have 39 in Boston. We have 32 in Lebanon, but 24 in Montpelier. Saranac Lake is at 11, and North Bay 4 degrees below zero. So this is the cold air that is heading our way, and our temperatures are going to reflect that. Early highs today, 34 degrees, already on the way down. Tomorrow our high is only going to be 13. These are high temperatures, and while it does recover a bit on Friday, Saturday and Sunday much colder again, and Monday we're looking for a daytime high right around 0 degrees. So let's take a little bit closer look at the two storm systems that are heading our way. This is Thursday at 3 o'clock. We see them moving through the Ohio Valley. The first one, again, that's going to be overspreading the area Thursday night into Friday. The morning commute might be a little bit slippery. Not a lot of snow, but sometimes it doesn't take a lot of snow to make the roads a little bit slippery. Then we have a bit of a break on Friday night into Saturday. Saturday morning, driving will probably be just fine. It's not going to be until Saturday evening that the next storm system is going to be approaching the region. 7 o'clock, we're already seeing it moving into some of the southern counties. That's going to overspread the area, so by daybreak on Sunday, we're going to be right in the thick of it. And the storm track right now is a little bit further south than what I showed you yesterday, and that means we're looking for a little more snow further into southern parts of New England. Might also keep some of the heavier snow out of northern parts of our region and keep it confined to central and southern areas. But again, it's still early. The storm is still a few days out, so that storm track can move in the days ahead. So in the meantime, tomorrow we are going to see some sunshine, but it is going to be cold in the morning, 7 o'clock. These are your actual air temperatures, but wind chills in the minus teens and even some minus 20s in some of the colder locations. During the afternoon, only warming up into the upper single digits and low teens across the region. We will see some increasing clouds, and then that light snow develops on Thursday night and continues during the day on Friday. And again, it's going to be a little bit chilly during the day on Friday, but warmer than what we have been seeing, getting up a little bit closer to seasonable for this time of year. We're looking for about 1 to 3 inches of snow on Friday. Then we get that little bit of a break. Then the next storm system moves in. That is the nor'easter that we're watching very carefully. It's going to be cold and blustery on the backside of this storm system. Right now, it kind of looks like 6 to 12 inches, depending on that storm track. Could be a little more, could be a little less in some locations. We still need to fine-tune that coming up, but blustery and much colder behind that again.
I guess so. You're busy, my friend.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. Well, some changes in store at a pair of Burlington area senior centers will bring you up to speed.
And GOP leaders take a step back to strategize.
Senate Republicans look beyond the wall and political moment to the fights to follow. I'll explain why they're shifting their focus, if only for a day.
Warren Buffett believes in low fees. Go to onedayinjuly.com.
You're looking for an SUV, but geez, the nice ones can be expensive, right? Well, not anymore. Get a 2019 Buick Encore, all-wheel drive, leather trim seats. I'm telling you, it's loaded for under 17 grand. All this for under 17 grand? Are you kidding me? Now, we've got plenty in stock, but this offer ends soon, so don't wait. Get an all-wheel drive Buick Encore for under 17 grand and see why nobody beats a St. J. Auto deal.
My gums are irritated. I don't have to worry about that. Do I?
Actually, you do. Harmful bacteria lurk just below the gum line.
New Crest Gum Detoxify works below the gum line to neutralize harmful plaque bacteria and help reverse early gum damage. Gum Detoxify from Crest.
Breathe freely fast with Vicks Sinex.
My congestion's gone.
I can breathe again! Oh, I can breathe again. Oh.
Vicks Sinex. Breathe on.
What do we got?
Keep an eye on that branch. It might get windy. Have a good shift.
Fire pit. Last use 0600. I'd stay close.
Morning.
They're ready to switch.
Protected by Flo. Should say protected by Alan and Jamie.
Right?
Should it?
When you bundle home and auto,
Run, Alan!
you get more than just savings. You get round-the-clock protection.
This winter, find what you love in New York State.
Plan your winter escape at iloveny.com.
You're never far away from a new Toyota. Find offers you won't see on TV. Check out New England's largest inventory. Get a free independent third-party trade-in value. All on your tablet, phone, or laptop. Toyota is everywhere you are at buyatoyota.com. Right now, see a $199 a month all-wheel drive RAV4 lease with Toyota Safety Sense technology and no-cost maintenance. So, visit here, then come in here. Toyota. Let's go places.
Some changes are coming to two senior centers in the Burlington area. The Champlain Senior Center in the Old North End is funded by the city, while the Heidelberg Community Center in the new North End is an independent nonprofit. But since Heidelberg lost some funding from the United Way, the city has filled in the funding gap. Well, a city committee is working on a plan to combine forces to reach more seniors, organize trips, and share responsibilities. But you don't have to worry about missing your Tai Chi class.
We don't have any of the details yet, but it would essentially maintain all the services that are currently happening. Seniors wouldn't see much of a change, but over time they would have access to more opportunities.
The committee hopes to have a finalized plan by July when the city council gets ready to approve a new budget.
129 tickets in just 7 days. That's what Plattsburgh City Police say they handed out. Cars must be moved every 2 hours in the city, and the rules have been on the books for years. But when the parking enforcement officer got done in 2016, the department stopped enforcing the parking rules. That's changed now, and police warned drivers this would be coming late last year.
Is to make it fair parking downtown, because businesses need that traffic. They need their storefronts accessible for people that want to come down and patronize them.
Tickets run $15 if your car is parked somewhere for longer than 2 hours. And just a note, you don't pay those parking tickets at the police station, you pay them at City Hall.
Well, caught on camera, a suicide bomber blows up a restaurant in Syria, killing 4 American soldiers. We have the shocking video and reaction.
Plus, a breakdown in negotiations to end the government shutdown.
You may disagree with us. Open the government. Open the government. You can do it, Leader McConnell.
We'll tell you where things stand tonight.
Winter blues got you down? There may be a reason you hadn't thought of.
Should you be supplementing to keep your vitamin D up this winter? I'm Kat Villianzoni, and I'll tell you what doctors tell me coming up on our Health Watch.
And whether it's books or movies that get you through the winter, the Vermont Library Consortium has something for you. We'll get their entertainment picks in just a bit.
Start the new year off with a new look from Burlington Furniture. We're having our January winter clearance sale with store-wide savings of up to 70% off. Now is the time to get a great deal. Burlington Furniture, voted best furniture store 9 years in a row. Come see why.
The rule of 3 states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing. We couldn't agree more. Three SUVs, 1 GMC. Current lessees switch to GMC and get this low-mileage lease on this all-wheel drive Acadia for around $229 per month. Or get this low-mileage lease on this all-wheel drive Terrain SLE for around $179 per month.
The things we're grateful for show up when you do. So to all the wild ones, the tame ones, the outliers, and the inliers, thank you for bringing your tough skin and fierce appetite. For growing up with us, but never really growing up. For standing up to the elements, stripping down to the essentials, and always letting your hair down. Because who you are means everything to us.
No matter how much you clean, does your house still smell stuffy? That's because your home is filled with soft surfaces that trap odors and release them back into the room. So try Febreze Fabric Refresher. Febreze finds odors trapped in fabrics and cleans them away as it dries. Use Febreze every time you tidy up to keep your whole house smelling fresh air clean. Fabric Refresher even works for clothes you want to wear another day. Make Febreze part of your clean routine for whole home freshness.
AAA. I didn't know how easy it was to just switch auto insurance.
The amount of money I was saving was staggering.
After comparing a few other rates, it was clear that AAA was our best place to be.
As a AAA member, you could save an average of $447 a year. Compare that to Geico, State Farm, or Allstate. You could save even more with AAA discounts.
We have the multi-car discount, the multi-policy discount.
We save quite a bit of money by keeping everything we can with AAA.
Best of all, get the service we're famous for and peace of mind.
Our reaction was, wow. I could not believe how much money I was saving when I switched over to AAA.
I definitely feel I can rely on AAA no matter what the circumstances.
At AAA, my job is to help you get more AAA out of your AAA card, and that starts with great savings on auto insurance.
Call 800-573-3249. AAA. So easy, so smart, so switch.
Make it your New Year's resolution to start sleeping better. At Burlington Mattress, we're here to help you make the right choice so that you can start the new year and each day well rested. Now is the time as we're having our winter clearance sale with store-wide savings of up to 70% off.
In Syria, a suicide bomber unleashed a massive blast on a restaurant, killing 4 U.S. troops, and it was caught on camera. A number of civilians were also hurt. U.S. forces and local military put up a perimeter around the site of that bombing. The dead and the wounded were taken by helicopters to hospitals.
The only reason the Kurds and the Arabs and the Christians were in that restaurant is because we gave them the space to be in that restaurant. And you think what you want to about those people over there. They've had enough of killing.
Senator Lindsey Graham, a close ally of President Trump, has been critical of the administration's decision to withdraw troops from Syria.
Well, the battle continues tonight in Washington over funding the border wall. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's willing to spend $1 on physical barriers. This negotiation strategy has Republican leaders putting blame for the government shutdown on Democrats.
This is the central principle. Democrats have made a marketing decision to obstruct President Trump at all costs, even if it hurts substantive priorities they used to support. That's why we're in day 26 of this partial government shutdown, with Democrats refusing to even show up and negotiate on funds for border security, which they used to brag about supporting.
On the other side of the aisle, Democrats are pointing the finger at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who steadfastly refuses to call for a vote on any bill President Trump won't sign. This morning, Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy called for a vote on bipartisan spending bills that overwhelmingly passed the Senate late last year.
We have bipartisan bills before us that could reopen the government. We could vote on them today. They'd pass with veto-proof margins. Leader McConnell, bring up these bills. Let's vote to end this national nightmare.
Now, this is already the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. If Congress can't come to an agreement, President Trump has suggested he may declare a national emergency and divert funds from other parts of the government to pay for his proposed wall.
With the shutdown, Republican senators prepare for a brief staycation. Our Washington correspondent Kyle Madura tells us their getaway is all about planning for the fights that will come after the historic feud is settled.
Walls, workers, and the shutdown are driving the current agenda in Washington. Progress remains stalled in partisan gridlock. Thursday, Senate Republicans will strategize for the fights ahead, beyond the wall and political moment.
We want to continue to provide the incentives for people to keep more of their hard-earned money.
Senator John Barrasso is in charge of the retreat, just down the road from Congress at Nationals Park. He wants his party focused on keeping the economy chugging. Broadly, he suggests more tax reform and regulation rollbacks, especially on Obama-era environmental rules. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul says his party should also do more to spend less.
Frankly, Republicans haven't done as good a job as I would have liked to have seen.
This year, Senate Republicans will be forced to work with the democratically controlled House to reopen the government or tackle their other long-term goals.
It's a different world now. We have to figure out how to, meet halfway in the middle on a lot of things.
Paul and Barrasso say they're holding out hope for cross-party work to cut health care costs. That may not be politically possible, but last year, Congress proved it could work across the aisle on the opiate crisis, as well as fixing roads and bridges.
Well, the issue is always the paying for things like that.
And the sticky question of how to spend money is central to the current fight and longest ever federal government shutdown. Kyle Madura, Channel 3 News, Washington.
I'm going to run for President of the United States because as a young mom, I will fight for your children as hard as I would fight for my own.
That is New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand speaking in Troy a day after announcing her candidacy for president. Now it's expected to be a crowded field of Democrats seeking the party's nomination for 2020, and it is starting to shape up that way. Senator Elizabeth Warren, former HUD Secretary Julian Castro, and now Gillibrand announcing their candidacy. California Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard has also thrown her hat into the ring. Darren sat down with her back in September and asked how progressives like herself could court younger voters.
I think just breaking it down, rather than partisan politics and all the noise, why does this matter to me? Why does it matter to you, your family, our community? To me, that's what motivated me to first run for office at 21 years old, and what I'm seeing as a lot more young people are seeing how they can get involved. It's because it's being sparked by an issue that they personally care very much about.
Gabbard was vice chair of the Democratic National Committee before she left to work on Bernie Sanders' 2016 run for the presidency. She was the youngest woman ever elected to Congress.
Still ahead, do you have enough energy to get you through the day?
Well, you may have a vitamin deficiency. What you need to know in our Health Watch.
The best winter ever in the all-new 3-row 2019 Subaru Ascent, starting at only $31,995, or lease for only $339 per month. The Ascent offers up to 5,000 pounds of towing capacity, so you'll love playing in the snow. Buckle up for the best winter ever. This will be the best winter ever. This will be.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled commercial for this important announcement.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. A recent clinical sleep study confirms that MyPillow does change and improve the quality of your sleep. It proved you get less sleep interruptions on MyPillow. It increases your restorative deep sleep. It helps reduce your snoring, and it improves the oxygen levels to help you wake up feeling refreshed. And there's so much more. Since inventing MyPillow, I've had hundreds of thousands of people tell me that MyPillow has changed their lives.
I sleep better. I wake up, I feel refreshed, I feel healthy.
I would wake up multiple times throughout the night, not getting into a deep sleep until I found MyPillow. I did not have a solution, and now I do.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use this promo code and Mike will give you a second MyPillow absolutely free. Hurry, this offer ends February 1st.
MyPillow works because you can adjust my patented fill to get the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of your sleep position. I also made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota, and I back it with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty.
The same research study also showed that a full 78% of participants showed improvement in their sleep. 78%!
Before MyPillow, sleeping was a nightmare. First night I got it, slept like a baby. Just was out, completely out.
So if you want to fall asleep faster, get deep restorative sleep, have less snoring interruptions, and wake up feeling more refreshed, don't wait another minute. Order your very own MyPillow now.
I personally guarantee that MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use this promo code and Mike will give you a second MyPillow absolutely free. That's right, 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. Hurry, this offer ends February 1st.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Vitamin D is essential for our bodies. It helps promote bone growth, among other things.
And not having enough can leave you feeling tired and your immune system weaker. Kathleen Zoni finds out the best way to keep your levels up this winter.
Shorter days, colder temps, cloudy skies, and every inch of your skin covered. Not exactly the best recipe for getting some natural vitamin D, and health experts say that's a problem.
Most of the vitamin D that we get is actually through the sun, and our skin makes vitamin D when it comes in contact with certain types of rays from the sun.
UVM Medical Center dietitian Bridget Shea says not only are people hunkering down indoors, but Vermont's winter sun isn't strong enough for our bodies to make vitamin D. Certain foods do have it, like fatty cold water fish, think salmon, tuna, or cod liver oil. Egg yolks also do. Certain mushrooms do too. And fortified foods like milk, orange juice, or cereals are also a big source. But
it's really hard to get enough just through food because the sources are pretty limited. So if it's winter time, especially in Vermont, most people might need a supplement.
She recommends vitamin D3, which she says will boost your blood levels more and last longer, and says adults should take about 600 IUs. She says it's a pretty safe supplement.
Always when you're seeking natural and alternative solutions, you want to make sure that you talk with your health practitioner first.
At Healthy Living in South Burlington, Jennifer Foley directs customers to the vitamin type that works best for them. They have vitamin D gummies, capsules, even liquids on the shelves. She has to restock to keep them there.
This time of year, there's definitely a higher call for vitamin D.
There is a blood test you can get to check your vitamin D levels, but health experts say you probably don't need that unless you're at an increased risk of vitamin D deficiency or you've been supplementing and want to check your levels. In South Burlington, Kat Villanzoni, Channel 3 News.
Well, not a lot of vitamin D in this forecast, but we do have cold and we have snow. And we're looking at cold first and foremost. Tomorrow morning, our temperatures are likely to be near zero with wind chills in the minus teens and even minus 20s. So bundle up tomorrow morning. Temperatures do moderate a bit on Friday as a small storm moves into the area. This one's only going to be bringing us about 1 to 3 inches of snow. But the bigger storm system that we're watching, the nor'easter that's going to be bringing more significant snowfall, that's something that we're watching very carefully, because the storm track could still change in the days ahead. But this is the way it looks right now. We're keeping an eye on that rain-snow line. It's a little bit further south than it was at this time yesterday, and that means that we're going to be looking for all snow. Before, we were looking at perhaps a little bit of mix in some of the southern areas, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case now. All snow across our region, perhaps some of the heavier amounts in central and southern areas. But again, we have to watch this very carefully because it could still change once again in the next couple of days. So we're also watching the cold air that's going to be pouring in behind this storm system. So this is on Sunday, and you can see that cold air digging down across the northeast. That is going to be bringing us some weather that's going to be even colder than what we're expecting tonight and early tomorrow. We are talking about actual air temperatures in the Champlain Valley, minus 10, minus 12. Daytime high on Martin Luther King Day only getting to near zero. So very cold weather to start off the week. It does bounce back again towards the middle of the week with a chance for some snow, possibly even mixing with a little bit of rain. So we're going to worry about that after the next two storms come through.
One day at a time here.
Pin that one down.
A couple hurdles to cross first.
Yeah, it's getting a little too busy to be looking that carefully.
That Sharon, thank you so much. Well, we've got moose crossings, deer crossings, even cow crossings here in Vermont, of course, but nothing on this scale. Take a look. A Washington State Energy Company employee recently filmed a huge herd of elk crossing Beacon Ridge Road in Ellensburg, Washington. You can see hundreds of the animals crossing the highway through the snow-covered Washington Hills. Absolutely beautiful.
That was my last market.
Yeah, this is where he works.
My sister goes to school there.
Did you see a lot of elk crossing?
I never did. No.
I would have liked them to get a little closer, but I guess I can't be picky. I was right there shooting the video. Well, you are back now with the library in your pocket.
Yes, so during the winter months when people are kind of stuck at home, they might want something to do. So up next, we're going to look at how you can access thousands of digital books and audiobooks for free across all of Vermont, and we'll give you a place to start.
Today's Health Watch is sponsored by Kinney Drugs, your neighborhood pharmacy.
This winter, find what you love in New York State. Plan your winter escape at iloveny.com.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Ronnie, how happy are folks who save hundreds of dollars switching to Geico?
I'd say happier than a camel on Wednesday.
Hump day!
Get happy. Get Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
At Vermont Eye Laser, we have a record for setting new standards. In 2000, we were the first in the region to offer LASIK. We were the first to treat astigmatism and hyperopia. And we were the first and the only center to offer eye LASIK, the world's #1 bladeless technology. Today, we offer the most significant advancement in over a decade. Eye design, providing a new level of accuracy and results. It's what you've been waiting for. Don't accept anything less. Vermont Eye Laser, helping you see better.
The rule of 3 states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing than those that don't. We couldn't agree more. 3 SUVs, 1 GMC. Ring in the new year with a new GMC. Get 19% below MSRP on these select models in stock. We are professional grade GMC.
There's no better two than the two of us.
I think you're forgetting about Dunkin' Go-To.
Dunkin' Go-To's, a great deal for $2, $4, or $5. America runs on Dunkin'.
The clock is ticking on your chance to get a great deal.
Tucked away in downtown St. Albans. Get $20 for Mill River Brewing Barbecue and Smokehouse for only $10.
For great deals every day, head over to myjumponit.com.
Well, this is the perfect weather to sit by the fire, read a good book, and through the Green Mountain Library Consortium, you don't even have to leave your house to get it. The consortium is a digital tool used by 400,000 Vermonters. More than 150 libraries in the state now subscribe. And if your library is one of them, you get to use the consortium and thousands of audiobooks and ebooks for free. Wendy Hisco is president of the consortium's board and director of the Brownell Library in Essex. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, how can people access this, take advantage of it right now?
You need a library card, so you do have to go to a physical library, but once you have your library card, the service is available 24/7, so whether you're on the road somewhere traveling or sitting at home, you're welcome to have a book. We have licensing for 15,000 different titles, so there's a pretty good variety in there.
The vast library online right there.
Yes.
Now, with those digital copies, is it unlimited for everyone who wants to get access to it? What if everyone wants that copy of Harry Potter?
Unfortunately, waiting list, but there's other things to read and listen to as you're waiting. There's a limit because it's a shared consortium, so we have to, libraries end up spending a lot more on titles than you might on Amazon, so gotcha. So we have to be able to stretch the money to be able to serve as many people as possible, but also get the hot titles that everybody wants.
Well, speaking of some of those hot titles, we wanted to get you some of your top picks. So we're going to start with kids, go to adults. So for kids, you mentioned the Big Nate series. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, that is the series. I think there's 13 in the series. It's a mostly graphic novels, so it's a great thing on ebook for younger kids in the sort of older elementary school age to read, and it has pictures, so it's engaging and sort of more of a comic strip, but then there's stories involved, and Big Nate is kind of a mischievous kid that gets in trouble at school, but he navigates it with his classmates and his teachers, so so adventures that kids can identify with. Now for teens, you recommend The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, but you say it's also a good one for adults. Why is that? It's just really thought-provoking. It's about a girl who grows up sort of in the hood, and her parents send her to an elite private school, so she has 2 identities that she has to switch back and forth between, and then she witnesses her one of her childhood friends getting shot by a police officer. And so the book is really about the aftermath of that and how her two worlds collide, and it's just very thought-provoking.
Really impactful.
Yes.
Now, adult fiction, you picked Vermont author Chris Bojalian, The Flight Attendant. Why do you like this one?
It's just he's a really engrossing author. Even if he weren't a Vermont author, we'd still all love him because he just he tells a great story, and this story is about a flight attendant who has a substance abuse problem. She's she's a working drunk, basically, and she finds herself waking up in a different country with somebody dead in her bed, and she doesn't remember what happened. So it's all about what, it's a sort of a exciting book to read and get engrossed in while you're watching the snowfall.
Well, thanks very much for being here and sharing these resources within the consortium.
Yes, we're great to be able to serve Vermont.
Well, in the meantime, you have another story to tell. Cats versus cats ×2 tonight.
Indeed.
Did I get that right?
You nailed that, yes. Twin state rivalry renewed. UVM men's and women's basketball teams taking on New Hampshire. We'll get you set for that. And Vermont women's hockey team, well, they'll have to start their second half push without a top star. That story next.
While the seasons change, our commitment to independent agents and the communities they serve remains steadfast. Vermont Mutual, since 1828, insuring homes, automobiles, and businesses for generations.
By now, you've seen how epic the all-new Ram truck is. Now what you need is an epic price.
Well, check this out. Right now at St. J. Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, every single Ram Bighorn half-ton crew cab is 25% off.
It's all new. It's completely redesigned. And you save some serious money. You get the Ram truck you want, and with 25% off, you get a great price. And that's why nobody beats a St. J. Jeep Ram deal.
The things we're grateful for show up when you do. So, to all the wild ones, the tame ones, the outliers, and the inliers, thank you for bringing your tough skin and fierce appetite, for growing up with us, but never really growing up, for standing up to the elements, stripping down to the essentials, and always letting your hair down. Because who you are means everything to us.
Every Toyota RAV4, even our least expensive model, has advanced safety features included, like pre-collision system, lane departure alert, dynamic radar cruise control, and auto high beams. With Honda CR-V, similar advanced safety features are not included on its least expensive all-wheel drive model, forcing you to pay $2,300 more than RAV4 to get just some of the features. Toyota RAV4 with advanced safety features included. Toyota, let's go places.
Jump in. The water's fine. It's the 24th annual Penguin Plunge for Special Olympics Vermont, the largest fundraiser of the year. Join friends and family on February 2nd, 2019. Visit penguinplunge.org to register now.
Last year, Lebanon Ford became the fastest growing Ford dealer in all of New England. How? Actually, it's simple. It's our prices.
Like an F-150 Super Crew. Yep, a Super Crew for just $299 a month. Now this is an XL 3.5-liter EcoBoost loaded for just $299 a month.
And that's with no money down. Come see why we're the fastest growing Ford dealer in New England and why nobody beats a Lebanon Ford deal.
Good evening. Both the UVM men's and women's basketball teams facing longtime rival New Hampshire tonight. The Vermont men on the road, the women hosting the Wildcats at Patrick Gym. UVM men looking to extend a 4-game win streak and continue their dominant start to America East play. The women will try to snap a 2-game losing skid. We will have highlights for you from both games tonight on the Channel 3 News at 11 o'clock. It's a critical time of the season for the UVM men's hockey team. The Cats are 8-11-1 overall, not bad, but just 1-8-1 in hockey's play following a 2-game sweep at the hands of now top-ranked UMass this past weekend in Amherst. Vermont fell 4-1 to the Minutemen on Friday, a pair of power play goals in the second breaking that one open. But the Cats did feel good about their performance overall. Those good vibes, though, went away quickly following a 5-1 loss Saturday night, where the Cats felt they just did not come out ready to play. That outcome led to a team and then a players-only meeting Monday back in Burlington. There are still 14 hockey games left, but the Cats need to find answers quickly to save a season that is very close to slipping away from them.
We regrouped on Monday. Players had a meeting on their own to talk about being accountable and taking more pride in what they were doing as a coaching staff all the way down. Like we have to be so much better. You don't like to have that kind of a lesson right now, especially in our situation in the standings, but hopefully it was a wake-up call and can fuel us going into this weekend and beyond.
UVM women's hockey team is 2-2 in its 4 games since coming out of the holiday break, all in Hockey East. The 2 victories, one at 7th-ranked Providence last weekend, the other this past Saturday at home against Merrimack, were by the same score of 5-4. The most impressive aspect of Saturday's win over the Warriors was the Cats had to do it without leading scorer Audrey Picard. The junior suffered a knee injury in Friday's 4-1 loss to Merrimack, and while UVM is still awaiting results from a test, Picard is not expected to be returning anytime soon. She leads Vermont with 14 goals this season and is tied for the team lead with 11 assists. The good news, though, 14 other Vermont players have scored this season. And with a 2-game set versus 10th-ranked Boston College set for this weekend at Gutterson, the Cats know it will take a total team effort to replace their leader's production.
I said this at the beginning of the season that I thought we had a lot of different pieces that were, to say that they're interchangeable is not right, but find different pieces that complement each other. This is a pretty relentless style of play that we play. Like, we're a hard grinding, hard forechecking team, and I think the entire roster has bought into that.
Now, last night down under, rising American Francis Tiafoe earned the biggest win of his young career as the upset 5th seed and 2-time Grand Slam finalist Kevin Anderson in the second round of the Australian Open. The 20-year-old Tiafoe, who competed at the inaugural Stowe Mountain Lodge Tennis Classic in the summer of 2017, dropped the first set to Anderson, but rallied back to win the next 3, knocking off the hard-serving South African 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 7-5. Tiafoe will play Italian Andrea Seppi in the 3rd round tomorrow night, and a victory there would send him into the 2nd week of the major championship for the first time in his career. So good for him. And that's one of the cool things about that Stowe Classic, the chance to say, I saw that player in person. Totally. Several other players that compete in the first 2 years of the Classic still alive in the Open, including 2-time participant Jeremy Chardy and this summer's runner-up Max Marterer, and 3 others played but lost in the first 2 rounds. So 8 players that have been at this tournament in Stowe the last 2 years in the main men's draw at the Open this year.
Pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
Very awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Right in our backyard.
I know.
Weather's more than cool.
Yeah. Big time.
Tonight we are talking about morning temperatures right around 0 and the wind chills -teens and -20s to start off the day. So very cold tomorrow, warming up a tiny bit on Friday with a little storm system coming through. That was just 1 to 3. The bigger storm system that we're watching Saturday night into Sunday, and then bitterly cold behind that. So the next few days here could be kind of wicked.
I think you said old man winter kind of cranky these days. Yes, you got that right, sister. Sharon, thanks. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled commercial for this important announcement. Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. A recent clinical sleep study confirms that MyPillow does change and improve the quality of your sleep. It proved you get less sleep interruptions on MyPillow. It increases your restorative deep sleep. It helps reduce your snoring, and it improves the oxygen levels to help you wake up feeling refreshed. And there's so much more. Since inventing MyPillow, I've had hundreds of thousands of people tell me that MyPillow has changed their lives.
I sleep better. I wake up, I feel refreshed, I feel healthy.
I would wake up multiple times throughout the night, not getting into a deep sleep until I found MyPillow. I did not have a solution, and now I do.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use this promo code and Mike will give you a second MyPillow absolutely free. Hurry, this offer ends February 1st.
My Pillow works because you can adjust my patented fill to get the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of your sleep position. I also made My Pillow machine washable and dryable. I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota, and I back it with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty.
The same research study also showed that a full 78% of participants showed improvement in their sleep. 78%!
Before My Pillow, sleeping was a nightmare. First night I got it, slept like a baby. Just was out, completely out.
So if you want to fall asleep faster, get deep restorative sleep, have less snoring interruptions, and wake up feeling more refreshed, don't wait another minute. Order your very own My Pillow now.
I personally guarantee that My Pillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use this promo code and Mike will give you a second MyPillow absolutely free. That's right, 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. Hurry, this offer ends February 1st.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Have the advantage over what's coming next by taking out your phone and getting the Channel 3 Max Advantage weather app now.